everyone. How's it going? Just a quick audio check and video check. Everyone's doing great. I see a lot of folks are joining in and the numbers going up. So I absolutely love that. For those of you who are like new to Skysil and everything, we'll introduce ourselves in a bit. But just a quick intro about myself. My name is Sashrika and I was an alumni of IGDTUW itself. So great to be here among familiar faces. We have some great folks backstage, which we're going to bring up online in just about a few minutes. While we do that, just settle in. Like if there's anyone that you'd like to, reach out to and say that, hey, the Skysil session has just started, bring them up back live. We've got interesting guests today. And at the same time, some really great conversations and topics around some things that are absolutely important to you. At Skysil, our aim is to bridge that gap which we saw as students and as we came into the industry professions and saw that there is a huge gap about what things are required, how things are needed, and it gets overwhelming at times. We went through the same stage as yours. I think we had it a little easy and a little better as compared to you all because doing all of this digital not easy. We had communities to support us. We had friends by our side. We were in campus, and yes, that was surely quite easier than what you see right now. So don't worry. What we're trying to do is we're going to try to connect you with a few folks. We have a great alumni from our college itself backstage. We're going to bring her up live, but before that, I'm going to call up Anushka. So Anushka is here from Team Instinct. As you all know, Instinct is quite popular in the university. Anushka is here with us. Hi, Anushka.
Hey everyone, I'm Anushka from CSE final year and I'll be representing Instinct here. So Instinct, as you all know, is the Peer Educators and Life Skills Society, and we are here with Skysil to help you all become the best versions of yourself. So let's get started.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. So yeah, I know that your college just started and you're all attending physical, like in person in the university right now. Is that correct, Anushka?
Yeah, there are like the final year students are continuing in online mode, but yeah, most of other students are attending offline classes, and I'm sure that everyone is full of mixed emotions. Some people are liking it, some are not liking it, and so
That's
on.
amazing. So, like from your past experience, can you tell me about one of those memories when you were like offline attending in college, pre-pandemic phase? What was one of your best memories in college that you can share here, just as an icebreaker?
Right. So one thing was definitely, the society events or, the community meetings within campus where, everyone just used to come together and talk about something apart from academics or, the daily curriculum which we used to have. So those sessions, those events, and those communications used to be a sort of stress breaker for us. And I cherish those memories the most about the offline classes that we
Love
had.
that. My favorite would definitely be Tarangana. I would not, exchange
Right.
that for anything else. And I hope that you folks get to attend it this year. All right, awesome. So looks like we are all set. Are you excited for today's session? Everyone in the comment section, you can put something in the chat. Let some drum rolls in. I know you're super excited. I'm going to introduce a little bit about our next guest who's coming up live. But I'm also going to give her the chance to introduce herself in her own words and then take it from there. We have a really interesting session scheduled for today. I hope you all like it. Please ask questions, make it more engaging with our guest. We want to talk about the power of communities and how it helped shape our career. So we have Khushboo Verma with us. Khushboo is also an alumni from IGDTUW. She's working as a software engineer. So here she is. Hi, Khushboo.
Hi everyone, thank you so much Skysil for having me, and I'm so excited to be talking to fellow IGDTU students because we are so closely associated with the college and this topic is also so close to my heart. So I'm really excited. Thanks for having me here.
Love that, love that. Khushboo and I used to be together in the same branch in IGDTU. We used to study together, sat on the same benches that you do right now, and we can't be super thrilled to host you all at Skysil. So I'm gonna give it to Khushboo now to take it forward, and we're gonna be there backstage to answer questions or anything else. So see you soon. Bye bye.
Sure, thank you so much. Let's bring the slides up. And today I'm going to talk to you all about unleashing the power of community building and personal branding. Honestly, community building and personal branding go hand in hand because it's like once you start building up a community, your brand automatically starts establishing. Because when you're doing things, when you're out there in front of people, when you're going to community events, when you're taking up initiatives, people automatically start knowing you, and you unknowingly start to build a personal brand. And there's so many ways in which it helps you become a better version of yourself. I think communities have helped me improve both my technical and interpersonal skills. So I'm really excited to talk about how you can leverage the power of community building and personal branding to uplift yourselves. So I'm Khushboo Verma. These are my social media handles. You can connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn. And this is just a personal plug that, in terms of personal branding, since we all have been online, I have managed to build an audience of 60,000 on Twitter and an audience of 60,000 on LinkedIn. So, which is great, and the numbers are growing. And there is no secret sauce behind it. And if I can do it, you all can do it too. And in this session, we are going to talk about how these things are going to help you. So I'll start with a brief introduction. I am a computer science graduate from IGDTUW from the batch of 2021. Currently, I'm working as a software engineer at Microsoft, and I've worked as a software engineering intern at Microsoft in summer 2020. After that, I worked as a product intern at Adobe. But that's not just it. I was very active in communities throughout my college life. So I was a very active member of the GitHub Field Expert and GitHub Campus Experts communities. I was a Google Explore ML facilitator, a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. I used to host my own show, Tech Interviews Simplified, with GitHub Education Stream Team. And I used to organize a lot of offline and online events, and I still love doing that. So that's about me. And before we start, I just want to quote this quote by Helen Keller, where she says that alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And I think that is somehow the core of communities. It brings people together, and when we come together, we can do amazing things, and things just start happening in ways that we never even imagined. So and I'm just gonna present a glimpse of the offline community events that I have been a part of, or I have organized, or I have been invited as a speaker at. And as you can see, the zeal and excitement and energy of people there, and it used to be so amazing. And this is the power of community. This is how they bring people together. So just wanted to start off my entire session with these amazing happy pictures. Great. So now let us talk about why our community is so important and why you should even bother to be a part of one or to even start one for once. So the first thing is that it helps you meet like-minded people, right? Now, sometimes it happens that we somehow feel that, we are the only ones who are going through certain difficulties, or we are the only ones who find it difficult to fit in or to learn a new concept. But that's not true. Once you start going out and once you start talking to new people, you realize that there are so many people who are like you. So communities are an amazing place where you can go and you can talk to people, and you will realize that there are so many people who are just like you. They might have the same ideas, they might have the same backgrounds, or they might even have the same ambitions. And once you meet them, together you all can do so much. The second thing is it helps you find your areas of interest. So often it happens that we don't even know that what is the area that interests us the most. Because when you are a student, you don't even know that what are the opportunities available in the industry and how do you explore them. So communities give you an opportunity to learn about the different fields that exist out there. And once you start engaging, once you start attending sessions on those topics, or once you start building products around them, you realize that okay, these are the areas in which my interest might lie. So it helps you find your areas of interest. The third thing is that it helps you to help others and give back. Communities have honestly given me so much that I always want to give back. And which is why I do sessions like these where I come and talk about my experiences. And I'm pretty sure that once you start taking a lot of things from the community, you will also want to help others and give back. And it is such an amazing opportunity for everyone, because here everyone can be a mentor and a mentee at the same time. So, no matter what you know, there is always something that you can help others with. And it's an amazing feeling, right? And the next thing is that it helps you find great resources and gives you an opportunity to collaborate. So, as you might have been hearing so far from me, that it's all about people coming together. So, collaboration is something that is like the heart and soul of communities. People come together, they share ideas, and they build amazing things. So, you can find great resources, and you can find like minded people, and you can collaborate with them. Not just this, it also provides you opportunities to learn technical skills. So, if you want to learn about some new area that you have not explored, you can go and learn about web dev, Android, machine learning, Web3, whatnot. There are communities out there for all of these technologies, not just technical skills, you can also learn soft skills. Which brings me to my next point, that it helps you become a better leader as well. So, once you start taking initiatives, you also come up as a better leader. You understand how to run a community, how to bring people together, how to solve shared struggles, how to identify shared struggles in the first place. So, all of this, communities are so important to do all of that. It also gives you a sense of belonging because you come across so many similar people around you. You actually get that sense of belonging that I do belong in tech, for example, and I belong here and I can do amazing things. It gives you an opportunity to discover your own potential because, as I talked about my community journey, I had no idea that communities would provide me so many opportunities and I would grow in so many ways. Similarly, it will help you find your true potential, and it will also help find you job opportunities and connect with people, basically expand your network. So, community is about doing something together that makes belonging matter. So, inclusion and diversity are the two things that I see as the pillars of communities. So, communities are a safe space where everyone feels included and welcome. So, if you are a part of a community or if you're running one, make sure that you make it such a space where everyone feels welcome and they don't feel left out. As much as you want to feel that way, it is also a responsibility to ensure that everyone who wants to join the communities, they also feel the same way. Now that I've talked about why communities are so important, I also want to touch upon how can you leverage communities effectively. So let us say that you find a community and you join it. Now what? What are the next steps? How can you actually make better use of it? Not just to, be active in communities, but also build a personal brand side by side. So as I mentioned earlier, it is not an exclusive thing. So first of all, share what you are good at. Do not consider it to be bragging. If you know something, if you have been working hard for something, talk about it. Share these things and talk to people about it, because once you start sharing what you're good at, people won't get to know until and unless you share. And it is not bragging if it is backed by facts. So definitely talk about your work, because these days your public proof of work is also your resume in some sort of ways. So whenever you are a part of a community, put out your projects, put out your ideas, and secondly, take initiatives. Communities, no one is going to come to you and say that, hey, you should do this or you should do that. So communities are all about taking initiatives. If you want to stand out, if you want to build a personal brand, then you have to take initiatives. And if you think that there is something that can be improved or something that you're not liking, like go to the community and propose it and start working on it. So that is the second thing that you can do to stand out. The third thing is that you can build your personal brand. And now these things go hand in hand. So once you start taking initiatives, people start seeing it. And once you start putting out your work in public, then also it gives you a greater visibility. All in all, it builds your personal brand and leads you to more opportunities. The fourth thing is that if you want to make the best use of communities, and since communities are made of people, try to work as a team as much as possible. Because once you start working with a different set of people, you realize that there are so many things that you don't know, but the people around you know better. So it's an opportunity to learn, share, and connect. So you can learn new things, you can share your knowledge with others, and you can connect with them. So try to work as a team as much as possible. Network with people. This is such an underrated skill. Try to talk to as many people as you can and try to make genuine connections. So, there is one thing, a lot of times people go and network with people when they need it. But I think that networking should happen even when you don't need it, and you should start building those meaningful connections. And then, just, as you start talking to them, you understand the industry better and it helps you in the long run. And the sixth point is, if you have to Take something out of the community. If the community is adding to your life, try to give back and try to add value to the community. Now it can be in terms of volunteering. You can volunteer for certain things, you can take initiatives, you can lead something, you can have a team under you, or you can even as a team member you can actually go to that community and you can give fresh ideas. You can suggest topics, you can organize events. There is so much that you can do. So try to add value to the community and make sure that your presence is felt there. Seventh point is learn from others. Basically, since we have two ears in one mouth, try to learn and try to listen as much as possible to what other people are talking about. In these communities, you will find people who are, really experienced or who are really good at something. It might happen that some of the community members are really good at building projects using hardware, IoT. Some might be good at backend, some might be good at front end, some might be good at design. So try to learn from others and try to absorb all the learnings that come your way through these community events. Mostly when you'll be attending tech conferences and community events, you will be coming across a lot of sessions which where people talk about different technologies. A lot of times there are hands-on workshops where you get to build small projects. Then there are workshops with the hackathons where you get to ideate on your ideas as a team. So try to learn from all of these opportunities. And let's say that you go to a hackathon. So first of all, leverage communities to form teams and meet like-minded people, build those teams. Once you have those teams, try to build meaningful projects. Once you have those projects, try to put them out in front of the world, either in your community channels, maybe Discord servers, Telegram servers, or your own social media handles, your GitHub, Twitter, LinkedIn, and then actively seek feedback from the community. What is it that can be improved in the product? What is the feedback that people are giving to you? What are the new features that you can work on? How can you make it better? Can you still collaborate with more people and scale the project up? So there are so many opportunities and they all start with the simple idea. So take that leap, take that initiative is all I'm saying. The eighth thing is that if you want to leverage communities effectively, it's not just a take and take relation, it's a take and give relationship. So try to help and uplift as many people as possible. It will not only give you a sense of fulfillment, it will also help other people. And the world is really small, you'll cross paths with them again, and it's gonna just uplift the whole community. Community is run by people. There are no leaders as such. Everyone is a leader, everyone can take initiatives, and that is how it runs. So if you want to do that, no one is stopping you, and I think you should definitely go out there and take those initiatives. Now the next point is use LinkedIn, Twitter, and GitHub effectively, and this is somehow also linked to building a personal brand. As I mentioned earlier, that these days resume is not just a one-page PDF. Your public presence is your resume. So try to put your work on your social media handles. Try to use LinkedIn effectively. Try to find jobs. Try to learn what people are doing in the community. The people who are already in the industry, what are they doing? What are they working on? Try to talk to them and try to use their knowledge. And Twitter is also a great platform, so you can just use it, you can see what communications are happening, and then you can listen to people. On these platforms you will find people from all over the world. So first of all, you're not restricted to any college, any geographical location, and you can interact with everyone. And GitHub is such a wonderful place to be at. It speaks for you, it is public proof of work. So try to use all of these as effectively as possible. And before I end my session, I would just like to say that as long as you have got passion, faith, and you are willing to work hard, you can do anything that you want to do in this life, and the sky is the limit. With that, I would open the floor for any questions, and these are my handles.
Awesome. I love that code. That sky is the limit. It's actually based upon something that we decided to do as well with the term Skysil. We wanted to just give it an idea about, yes, the possibilities are endless. Sky is the limit. We have this kind of a notion about the ceiling being the sky. And that just generally means that it's endless. So I love that. Awesome. So we do have a few questions up in chat. And as other questions are coming in, Anushka has some questions backstage. Like we asked the students to fill out a form, so there might be some questions regarding that. So we'll just post them in as they come. First question we have is from Shweta: How to manage time while handling communities and academics?
Oh my God, that is such a important question to answer because I completely understand that it gets overwhelming when you try to do everything together. And communities do require time commitment, and academics also require the same. So I can share what I used to do. So whenever exams used to come around, I used to focus like 1 or 2 weeks entirely on exams. But at the same time, as much as academics are important, these communities and the learnings that you get from the outside world are equally important. So you have to manage your time consciously. I would say start small. So you might have some existing communities on campus. So try to attend their events. Once you start getting comfortable, then try to find out what are the events happening in and around your city. And mostly these events happen on weekends. So try to leverage your weekends in attending these community events at these different locations. And since International Women's Day is coming up, a lot of organizations would be organizing meetups and conferences and events. I strongly urge that you go and attend those. So try to, if you have less time, try to make use of evenings or weekends. And if you still have less time, just try to be part of one community, but at least be a part of it. And if you think that there are too many communities, just try to pick the ones that closely resemble your, purpose at that point of time. So if you want to learn about web dev, just focus on that. And limit your options, but still at least be a part of one community is what I would suggest.
Definitely, yeah. And I remember back during our college days, like in the initial first, second year time, we used to go out to all of these events and communities. The toughest part was actually finding the communities that suits your needs, like finding the ones that are best for you and somewhere where you can find your tribe. So before we move on to the next question, I'd like to put in a follow up. Like, how do you would you recommend for like first year and second year students how they follow up and find out about these communities or events which they can attend to?
So first thing is that how do you find out? So I used to find out about those through LinkedIn. A lot of people who are organizing these events, they talk about it on LinkedIn or Twitter, or even in your, if you are a part of local communities, they would talk to you about on WhatsApp groups and all. So you can find about it there. And it's like a cycle. So once you start attending events, there you get to know about 10 other events. So that is how it happens, and that is how you'll get to know. And at a point, there will be so many events that you will have to choose, and I urge that you choose what kind of events you want to attend. And as a first and second year student, it might happen that you have no idea what is your field of interest. So I would say explore as much as possible. I think when you are a student, it's the best time to explore your interests. So try multiple things. Even if you have no idea, just go and sit and listen to it. Ultimately, you will figure out that, hey, this is where my interest lies.
Definitely, yes. And like I remember we used to attend this Google Developer Circle, Google Developer Group Conference, DevFest. That's how I found out that I had a liking towards, developing Android applications, or if I would like to, explore web development. So these communities and these platforms are a great way, as Khushboo mentioned, to just explore and find out what you like and like try something that you've never tried before. There might be a technology that you're interested in and too shy to, work around towards. So this would be a great way to get a glimpse of what is happening around, and that way you can just go ahead and see if it's the best fit for you. Next question we also have: How much time should we devote to communities? Now that's a tough one, considering in our initial years it's a little different. We have classes and stuff. So what do you think, Khushbu?
Yeah, before I answer this, I also want to give a disclaimer that although this session was around community building and personal branding, I would like to say that as much as it is important and beneficial, it is not mandatory that you have to be a part of communities or you have to build your personal brand. I would say it depends upon your interest. If you feel that you are someone who has to really struggle a lot to do all of this, it is not mandatory. You can still excel in your career and in your life even if you don't do this. But I have personally observed that the people who are active in communities, they are more aware and they get more exposure to these opportunities, and which is why they are able to make more uh, decisions. Like they are able to take more data points into consideration when they're making decisions. And so if this is the question, how much time, I think it's very subjective and it depends on you. So just try to sneak out some time instead of watching, let's say, a show on Netflix. Try to attend a community event. I'm not saying that is not important. So ultimately the answer comes to you. So just try to figure out like what is the time that you can devote, and make sure it does not take a toll on your mental health or your academics. But I'm pretty sure like we all have been through college, and I'm sure that you can take out time if you really want to.
Definitely. And again, I think it covers a part of the previous question that we answered as well. Like you can take time out on weekends or in like after college hours if you there that's something that you might be interested in. So just go ahead, check it out. It just doesn't have to be, you networking per se. It just can be about, making friends, meeting people who are in the same field as yours and just discussing some ideas, and that can be as simple as it can be. So yeah, I mean, this is one of the greatest tips that we can give. I think we have a few other questions. So we have how to cut through clutter in most social platforms when building your public presence. So I think it refers to how you can like something that you're not interested in, something that's not great for, something that's not specific to you. How do you remove that?
So actually, I've heard this question before as well. A lot of people come and ask me that, hey, I don't know what to post on social media. Like, I don't have any content and I don't want to just post for the sake of posting. So, how do I build my presence? I would say, please don't post for the sake of posting. Do not commit to GitHub just to have a larger number of commits. Just try to make meaningful posts and meaningful contributions on GitHub as well. How do you clutter the so there are two aspects to it. First of all, how do you declutter the feed that you have? So for that, I would say follow those people who you already know are there, who are doing good in the field. Try to first figure out what is it that you want to learn, what are your interests, and then try to find out who are the people who are doing good in this industry and follow them. And what I personally used to do before I started posting anything on social media at all, I first used to look and observe and just read what are other people posting. So once you do that, you kind of get an idea that, hey, this is what other people are posting and this kind of content is doing good, or maybe this is the kind of content even I am interested in, and then start sharing. It's not like you have to be an expert to share anything on social media. You can even share your journey as you keep on learning new things. So you might have heard of things like 100 days of code or 100 days of system design. So if you're learning something, you can even share that, hey, today I learned this. If you are attending some event, you can talk about it. So just do that, but don't do too much of it, and just try to keep an eye on what is it that other people are doing. And if it aligns with your interests, then you can take inspiration and do something similar.
That's lovely. And I love the fact that, you can just, like the way that you mentioned, how you can just take inspiration from folks that you like upon social media. Folks are sharing their ideas up online, whether it's on Twitter or whether it's on LinkedIn. And that is where you can just see if, like, those folks are like similar, they have similar interests to what you have. And that way you can cut through the clutter and just follow the folks that you want to learn from.
So
We have another question.
one more thing to this
Mhm.
question. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's
Oh,
so important to understand that whatever you post on social media is your digital footprint. So please be cautious about it as well, because as I mentioned that these days your social media presence is kind of your digital resume. So you do not want to do anything that your employer might question. So as much as you might want to be involved in things that you don't want to be involved in, understand that these platforms are still professional platforms, and be cautious that everything is available just by a Google search. So just be cautious and try to make the best use of it.
love that, love that. Absolutely. Yes, that disclaimer is absolutely important. I understand that for right now, this might not seem as great when she mentioned that, okay, there could be employers and that is also something you have to take care of. But soon enough, you'll be working through internships or any other startups or any other jobs that you might get after your college. And that is a good disclaimer to have. Awesome. So next we have one other question. I think that is already answered. How much time should I devote? So moving on to the next one. Nikita is asking, I'm new on LinkedIn. How do I start making the most of it?
That is a great question. So first of all, as I mentioned, start by observing. You do not have to just start posting on LinkedIn as soon as you enter the platform. uh, First of all, try to make connections with the people you already know, because I know when you have a new LinkedIn account, there is a limit on how many people you can connect to. So what you can do is you can start by connecting with people in your university. Then you can talk to your alumni, you can send them connection requests. If you want to connect with people I personally like sending a personalized connection note to people, because a lot of times the people who have a huge number of connections, they receive a lot of requests. And if you really want to stand out, please add a personalized short note, which is very, small, and it conveys your call to action. So if there is something that you specifically want to connect to them regarding, just mention that in that personalized note. It increases the odds of them like accepting your request. It can be to recruiters, or it can be to alumni, or just people in the industry you want to connect to. And once you have a decent number of connections, just start looking at the feed. What is it that people are posting? You would know that there are many recruiters who actively hire through platforms like LinkedIn. So you can connect with them. You can like follow certain hashtags like hiring and software engineering or web dev or anything that you're interested in. Follow those hashtags, those recruiters keep on posting. Not just that, there is also a job portal on LinkedIn where companies which have openings, they post their jobs out there, and you can apply to those jobs. And before even all of this, try to make a nice LinkedIn profile where you talk about your background, what education you have, what is it that you are interested in, the skills that you know. So for example, if you're learning a language, you can put that in. And just make sure that the profile that you make, it looks authentic to people. So try to put your personal picture there, like it increases the odds of people knowing that okay, this is an authentic person behind this account. And mention the university that you're studying at. Just put those information, build your profile, like the profile page should look good. And then start sending connection requests, send personalized notes, observe what people are posting, and eventually you'll figure out how to make the best out of LinkedIn.
Love that. And yes, absolutely. Like we covered all of the points, main points there, that you should have your profile set up the way that it best represents yourself, the kind of opportunities you're trying to garner the attention of. And at the same time, you want to be like be intentional with your LinkedIn profile when you're creating is, I think, what sums up the thing. But yeah, absolutely. Great points. And these, I hope that these are some of the points that help you, Nikita, in getting started with LinkedIn. At the same time, don't get too overwhelmed. Creating a resume, creating your LinkedIn profiles, and creating your social profiles is a process. It's not a thing that you do just one day and let it be. Just think of it as a process, keep doing it, and one day you will just be at a certain place where you'll get the hang of it. So don't feel overwhelmed, just take it one step at a time and it'll all be good. Awesome. Let me see. I think we are good. And so, folks, if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in now. We'll be here like in the next 2 minutes. If there are any questions, we'll just address those. But yeah, if there are any questions that you want to address later, that is absolutely fine. Kushboo shared her socials, so feel free to reach out. As she already mentioned, do send a personalized invite if you're connecting on LinkedIn. That really helps. You can mention that you were here at the Skysil event, and that would give her more context on, where the audience came from. So yeah, just go ahead, connect with her. If you have any questions, you can ask it there. If you have specific questions which we can answer right now, please post them in the comment section. But overall, I think we're good. So there is a great thank you note for the awesome advice. Thank you so much, Khushboo, for joining us. This has been incredible. I think everybody enjoyed the session. A lot of folks already know who you are. And again, as we mentioned, we are all from the same university. We've all been through the same things that you're going through. So if you have any questions, anything that you might want to know about, feel free to reach out. There are seniors from Instinct. We are all here available for you. So yeah, I think that would be all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And the last thing that I forgot to mention is when you enjoy communities, it also comes along with a lot of swags and a lot of giveaways. So you would love that as well. So yeah, if not, if you just want to get started, I think swags are a great motivation. And even we started attending community events for swags. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll love those as well.
Yeah, I mean, which brings me to a good question. Like, which one of your swags is the favorite, or your favorite swag that you've got, the best one that you've got up until now?
So I think it has to be GitHub's Octoplush. So it's a soft toy that GitHub provides, and it is amazing. I got it through the Campus Experts program. So yeah, applied to programs like GitHub Campus Experts, Google Explore ML, Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Great organizations, great support, great resources, and you will ultimately end up building a great network. And I can't wait to see what all you do.
Love that. Love that. Awesome. All right. I think that would be all for our session today. And great advice. Thank you so much, Khushboo. There's so many good vibes in the comment section. So we're going to send that all to your way. Anushka mentioned offline events, foods, and swags is what kept her going to community. So love that. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. And folks, we will be joining soon with we will be joining soon by Harshil. Like there's another event coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. I can take a quick break, and we'll be back shortly with another session. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Awesome. I'm gonna put on little light music so you can take a break, stretch your legs. We'll just post up a link here on a title of the session, which is coming up next. So please stay tuned. Be back here shortly to talk, and we will be talking about some of the other things that can help you in your professional career as a student. How's it all going? I see you all are super excited to be here for Harshil's session. I can see the numbers going up as well. Hope you enjoyed your little break. We've put these short breaks in so that you can all just stretch your legs, feel a little relaxed. We're all working from home. We're all sitting there and staring at screens. It gets tiring at times. So it's great so that you got a break, you got to chill out a little, and now we're back again with another great session. And this time with a friend of mine. He's great. He's awesome. You might have seen him around on Twitter. Yes, he paid me to say all of the good things about it. So we're going to talk about that later. But yeah, Harshil is here. He's going to be up live on stream. She's backstage right now. Hi, Harshil. How are you doing today?
Like Shashrika, the payment part we supposed to keep it as a secret. But thank you for having me. I am really excited to talk to everyone today, and it's a good day in Berlin. So let's get to it.
Absolutely. Yes. For those of you who don't know, Harshil has kindly agreed to do this at a time zone, like at a different time zone. Of course, he's like at a different time zone. So he is doing this session specially for us. And we're super excited to have him here. He works at NA10 as developer advocate. I'll let him do the introduction part. He can do it better in his own words. But yes, we're super excited for this session. I'm going to share the slides up as well. And we can get right to it. Awesome.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Shashrika, for that. And hello, everyone, and thank you for joining in. I'm excited to talk to you all today. But before we jump into the fun stuff, let's start with a bit of more fun stuff. So, my name is Harshil Agarwal, and I'm joining in from Berlin. And as Africa mentioned, I work in the developer relations team at N10. So, just to give you a brief idea of what N10 is, it's a low code automation platform with a fair code license. And a major part of my role is to educate and help people learn about N10. But that's not something that we are going to focus on today. So, I'm not going to get into too much of details about N10. But what I want all you to know is that I am by no means an expert career coach. I don't see myself as a career coach telling people like these are the top 10 things that they should do to maybe achieve their goals. That's not me. All the things that I am going to share today are going to be from my experience and some experiences from my friends that they had, and let's get into it. Now, you might think I am lying. I'm not. Like, in fact, last night I was told that I look like a 16-year-old guy. So take me seriously, but don't take me too seriously. Now, it's Friday evening in India, I know. And I don't want to be that person who keeps you off from going to the parties today. So I'll try to keep this short and to the point. But what I want from you all is to ask questions. It can be questions around, hey, I have this thing, what do I do? Hey, I am having this particular question, this particular problem, how do I solve this? That's all what I want to do today. I want to answer your questions and help you get there. So don't be shy and shoot your question. Let's try to get rid of all this confusion that is going around in your mind and see how we can go forward with that. And this actually brings me to the very first important skill that people often miss out, and that is asking questions. Now, due to the wonderful influence that I had in my early life, I was, and in my university as well, I believe that asking question makes one look stupid. And it also makes you look like a fool. And it's always wrong to ask questions, especially when you are in a professional setting. Guess what? That's a myth. If you don't ask questions, that's where people start doubting you. People might think that there is something weird about you if you don't ask questions. Now you all will soon enough. I'm still taking a look at the chat, trying to see if there are any questions coming in. So my distraction might be, my focus might be a bit on the chat and on my slides as well. All right, coming back to this. There are a lot of places where people ask me like, hey, in this particular place, should I ask questions? Is it right? Is it wrong? how does it go? Let me tell you, wherever you are, it's always okay to ask questions. Now, because you are all our university students and you would be soon joining in maybe a company or maybe applying for further studies, irrespective of your plans, you will eventually find yourself giving interviews. I have given a lot of interviews as well, and I've talked to a lot of people who take a lot of interviews. So I have got that experience from an interviewer's perspective as well as the interviewee's perspective. And one thing that I learned is that it's not just an interview for you, but it's the interview for the other party as well. So while they are asking you questions, you should also ask your questions as well. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Before the interview, like this is a practice that I follow. If I am giving an interview, I research a bit about the company, try to understand what their goal is. If there are any questions while I am researching for that particular role or for the company, I note those questions and I ask those questions during the interview. This will help you understand what the focus of the company is and will you enjoy the work that you are going to do or not. The next is asking questions at events specifically. Now, you are at this event where you are uh, listening from experiences of different speakers and trying to understand the professional world, right? But oftentimes it happens people don't ask questions and they miss out a lot of opportunities to clear the doubts. And that's something that I have experienced. I have been in that place that I didn't ask enough questions during events or during talks or during any kind of sessions. And afterwards, when everything was over, when I was reflecting back, I was like, no, I should have asked that particular question. It would have helped me understand this particular concept much more better. Right? So never be afraid of asking questions during any kind of event. And I love those events where they have a open space for people to ask questions. As a speaker, I'll be honest, it's a bit of a terrifying feeling for us because we never know what kind of questions are going to come in. But as an audience, it's a good opportunity for you to ask your questions and get them answered by the speaker. And now moving towards where to ask questions if you are already working at a company. So oftentimes companies have syncs where you talk with your manager. It can be a weekly sync with your manager or the whole team. At my organization, we have a weekly sync with my manager, and there is also now a bi-weekly sync with the whole team. And this is the perfect place to ask questions around what to do, how to do it, and stuff like that. Because I am still joining in. I'm still kind of new to the whole professional world. This really helps me. Why? Because it helps me understand what are the priorities, what are the stuff that I should focus on, what are the things that I can do, what are the things I cannot do, how to do a particular task, how not to do a particular task, and all those kind of questions. And trust me, if you have a really amazing manager, like most of the managers out there are amazing, you get to also learn a lot when you ask questions, right? And I think I often ask stupid questions to my managers, and I think they like it because they know where I'm coming from. They know that I have this hunger to learn more, and that's why I'm asking this. And again, it's no questions are stupid, right? So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And when I'm talking about questions, oftentimes it's like, all right, that sounds cool, but what to ask, right? Uh, and the answer is like ask anything that's on your mind. Right now, while you are attending this session, you might have a question around this. So just ask that in your mind. But when you're asking questions, what I want you to focus more on is how you ask it. The skill of asking questions the right way is really, really important, right? And that skill can be only developed once you develop the practice of asking questions, because only then you will know, okay, I might have asked the question in the wrong way, or I should have asked the question in this particular way, right? So unless and until you start practicing the art of asking questions, you won't really learn how to ask questions, right? So ask anything that you want, but also try to focus a bit on how you ask that particular question. Now, why I am talking about this thing, like how does it help someone who is just starting in this industry, right? There are like tons and tons of benefits of this, but I've just listed down a few of them. The first thing, it shows that you are a good listener and that you are listening to, the topic that the speaker is talking about, and you are able to understand what they are talking about. So it shows off your listening skill, and this is really important when you are interviewing, for a company or for any organization, because at that time they look into all those things as well, not just your profile, but how you communicate. So if you are asking questions, they know that you have been listening to them. It also helps someone understand like how clearly you can articulate, how clearly you can communicate your thoughts. Uh, I have a small example to share over here. Is one of my friends was giving an interview for a company, and now that friend was applying for a role which involved a particular tech stack. Now, tech stack is basically a bunch of languages maybe, or frameworks or stuff like that, which is used by that company to build a particular product. And my friend wasn't so familiar with that particular tech stack, but what helped him was the way he talked with them, the way he articulated his thoughts. And that's where the company understood, like, okay, he is someone we want to work with because he is someone who is eager to learn, is good with communications, and is a good listener as well, right? So asking questions can help you with that as well. And the next one is leadership, right? It shows that you are eager to be, taking on some kind of leadership roles. Now, again, talking about this, this is going to come way back after you have a couple of months of experience. But if you start adopting the habit of asking questions, it can help you get into the leadership roles quickly, because people then can understand your viewpoints, they can understand where you are coming from, they can understand your thought processes as well, right? And it is really important, if you want to get into a leadership role, to help others understand how you think, what is your thought process, what is your perspective. Again, this comes from asking questions. And the last is networking, right? Now, I love this point of networking. Whenever it's networking, I tend to not shut up about it, but I'm trying to keep it to the point for this particular topic. So when you ask questions, you start a conversation with someone. Now that someone might be a random person on the internet, right, or a speaker at a conference, right? Because you have asked the question, you have actually taken that initiative to talk to that person, and you can use that opportunity to grow that relationship and build a good network or build a good relationship with them, right? So asking questions can also help you with that. So any questions on asking questions? And I see there are questions on asking questions. Uh, oh yeah, awesome. So the first one is, what type of questions can we ask in job interviews? Love this question. So it depends, I would say, who are you talking to, right? Is it a recruiter? Is it the hiring manager? Is it someone from the potential? Is it someone a potential teammate? First of all, you need to figure out who you are talking to, or who is taking that interview, and then based on that, come up with the questions. So if it's if it's a recruiter, try to get the overall perspective of the company, right? If they are filling a role for someone else, maybe someone left the company for some reasons, and they are looking to fill up that position, trying to understand why that particular person left that role. And you can ask these questions to the recruiter to understand what it is. You can also ask the recruiter, like what are the goals of the company, uh, what is the focus of the company currently, and stuff like that. Moving forward to the hiring managers, ask them like how they can support you, right? Because you are someone who is just starting your career out there. You definitely don't have that experience, and the hiring managers know that. So ask them how they can support you. I love this particular question because it also tells the hiring manager that you are someone who is eager to learn, who is eager to grow, right? So ask them how they can support you. Ask them what are the focus of the team, not the company, but the team, right? Also ask them like in their sense, what would be a success for this particular role, right? What they would call it as a success. So these are the couple of questions that you can ask the hiring manager. And for the teammates, just for the teammates, I think it's more of a conversation than an interview. So just try to know your teammates. Try to understand what they are working on, what gets them excited to work for that company or work at that role, and also talking to teammates, you can also get the insight of what it might look like working in that particular team, not just with that particular team but with the whole team, the as well as the manager as too. So try to ask those kind of questions. I hope, Shweta, that kind of gives you a bit of an idea of what kind of questions you can ask. Also, there are a good lot of resources out there on the internet. So I would suggest, just take a look over there on the internet for that, and you will find a good list of questions that you can ask during interviews. All right. The next question is pretty interesting. It's is developer advocate different from technical evangelist? I don't want to get or give a controversial answer because it often tends to be a bit of a controversial answer, but I'll try to explain it and keep it short. So for developer advocacy, it's more about not just advocating the product to the community, but it's also advocating the voice of the community to the company, right? So at my job, I'm not just talking about an intent, right? What I'm also doing is I'm talking to our community members. I'm trying to understand what the pain points are and get that feedback and pass it on to our team so that we make a product that the community loves, right? So that is what a developer advocate does, while a technical evangelist does more of an evangelist role. So it's like talking about the product more and not doing not getting the feedback from the community to the team, right? The technical evangelist is more focused on the product rather than focused more on the community. Now again, as I said, it also depends a lot from the team and the company, but the technical definition is is something similar to what I said. And a good question is, how can we network with folks in the digital setting? That's a really good question, and that is something that I have been personally trying to learn a bit more about. So I am reading this book that's around networking. I forgot the name, but I'll try to remember it and I'll get back to you on that. But it talks about networking in general. And coming back to your question, how can we network with folks in a digital setting? I think with the digital setting, it has become really uh, a good opportunity to grow your network. But oftentimes, people don't know how to do that. The first thing is be precise. Like why do you want to network with them? how can they benefit you, but how can you benefit them as well, right? Oftentimes it has happened to me a lot of times. People drop into my DM and then they just say, hey. I'm like, hey, I I don't know, like, I what why did you send that? Hey, what am I supposed to do of that? Because it's just me. I am someone, who does not who is isn't so popular, right? But I am friends with people who have thousands and thousands of followers across all the channels, and it's really difficult to manage this messages, right? If you just send out and hey, I am sure, or I feel like it might get lost. And I'm just gonna take a pause because I see Sasrika is on the screen. So yeah, Sasrika, you want to drop in something? Sasrika, I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just so you answering my question. I was just here to like talk about that only. So you were
Ah,
saying
okay.
about how, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. I thought something was wrong. Maybe I was not audible or
All
something.
good, all good, you're good.
Uh, all right. So coming to the question is how to network is. I always like people who just send a good introduction message like, hey, I am XYZ, I do this, I came across this, and I am trying to, if it's a problem, I'm trying to do this. How can you help? That's the perfect way, because now I know why you messaged me, and I know, like, how I can help you. That kind of reduces the to and fro. If it's not just a question, if you just want to drop by and say hi, that's completely fine. But again, there is a way to do that. So if you have been following that person for a while, you are following them for a reason. So just tell them why you're following them. Like, hey, I really love what you're doing at XYZ. I saw this video. It really inspired me. Thank you so much for creating it. That's it. That can be, a good way to break the ice and, just get into their DMs and start having a conversation with them.
Absolutely, yeah. And I love the fact that you mentioned how, you can just communicate with them about why, like how you came across their profile, why you're following them, because that is, I think, one of the things that we struggled with when we were students back then. And I think the question that I was just being an advocate for other folks here, because I understand that this question is quite common, and sending just a hey won't get them started on the conversation and won't help them network with the right folks. So yes, this definitely helps. A follow-up question that I know a lot of folks would be curious, because I was, when I was back in my first year, was that if we just go ahead and ask you, so the thing is about asking
Hmm.
questions, right? So if you go ahead and ask a question, what would be the right way to go about it? I understand being crisp is important, but like, do you give that context? Do you start with the, like, how do you ask a question about something that might require a conversation or a phone call perhaps? So how do you like start that conversation and narrative?
That's a really good one. Now again, it depends, what the whole scenario is, right? Because if we are talking about questions at an event, right, you cannot make it a conversation, because
Hmm.
there are thousands of people at that event who want to get the questions answered, and the speaker is also trying to answer as many questions as possible. So that is not a perfect place to start a conversation.
Hmm.
But if we talk about something like reaching out to someone on LinkedIn or Twitter, and you're trying to
Hmm.
get on a call with them, uh, I would start with making a list of the questions that I have first, and then send them a nice small message like, hey, I saw your profile, I really liked it, I saw the work you're doing it. These are a few questions that I have. uh, I know you are busy. Feel free. I am not expecting an answer immediately. But if possible, I would love to get on a call with you and chat more about you if possible. If not, I completely understand. So stuff like that. Just understanding what where they are coming from is really important. It helps them also learn that, okay, this person knows what they want, and they're not gonna take an hour of my time and I'm gonna waste it. So it really helps them. Like, people are over out there who are happy to mentor you or happy to guide you,
Mm.
but it's again the way you approach them. And I have
True.
found it, this is the way to approach them. Like just send up a bunch of questions ahead of the call as well, and if possible, you would definitely, I won't say definitely, but you would probably get a chance, to get on a call with them.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I think that definitely helps. Something that we tried when we were students. I know it sounds a little overwhelming, and I understand in IGDTU it just happened to be that way that we had a great group of seniors who were very reachable and approachable. So we used to go up and ask questions, and asking questions definitely helped. So if in a digital setting, you're finding that a little tough to do, I think these are some of the great tips that Harshil shared can help you reach out to folks, even if it's in college, if it's somewhere out there, someone outside the scope or setting as well. So yeah, definitely that helps.
Wonderful. Uh, I don't see any questions coming in, and this is actually a good way to, move on to the next skill that I personally love, and that is experimenting, right? You have never done anything before. You haven't texted someone before in a professional setting. It's fine. It's an experiment. Go ahead, do it. Unless and until you do it, you won't know what works and what does not. So it's a story time. I love telling stories. So I'm gonna share two stories that I have, and these are true stories. Both of them are around experimentation. So the first story was back when I was probably in my third year of university, uh, and that's where I guess I got introduced to conferences, and I was diving deeper into what conferences is, how they function, and how would one give a talk at a conference. Now remember, I'm in my third year with no industry experience, wanting to give a talk at a conference. At that time, I came across a conference where they were accepting speaker proposals. So, what do? Experiment. I come up with an idea, I send out that application, and to my surprise, I got into the opportunity of speaking at that conference. Now, that is something I had never done before. The first experiment was to, submit that application. It was a success. I got a really good result, right? The next experiment was to give a talk at an international conference of a topic you just have a bit of an idea about, right? So that was another experimentation for me. But it really was a good experimentation for me because I got to learn a lot from that experience. Now, not every time an experiment would result into a success. And the next story is about an experiment that failed. So I had this crazy project idea, which I thought would, be $1 million idea and would change the world and stuff like that. So I started playing around with that. I started experimenting with that, but the end result was so terrible that I failed miserably. But that didn't stop me to keep on experimenting and trying out things because I learned a lot from this experimentation. I learned that there is no right or wrong. But I also learned that people do understand that you are trying out stuff and they are over there to encourage you. So never be afraid of experimenting. And moving forward from experimentation is like I often okay. Let's just talk about experiment for a bit more because people also ask me like that's interesting, but how is experiment gonna help or why should I experiment? So the first thing is learn. You learn a lot when you experiment. Even if you are failing, right? You are learning the reason that you failed so that the next experiment that you do, you know what are the steps that you should avoid. And if it's a success, you now have a process of repeating that whole cycle and getting that success again and again and building on top of it. The next is it allows you to be creative, right? So it's an experiment. You can be as creative as you want. There's another story over here. I created this small weekend project last December. It's called GitHub Wrap. It was just an experiment. I was getting creative. I created it out there, and all of a sudden it got so much traction that I was worried. I created it as a weekend project. I wasn't expecting, for people to use it or people to try it out as well. And it like at one point 60K people were using it at the same time, and that kind of freaked me out. But this experiment helped me to be more creative and again learn how stuff works. And the next one is it allows you to grow. Now, whenever I always tell this to people who I talk to is to look for opportunities to grow. And experimentation is a good way to grow, because when you experiment, you grow a lot because again you are learning. You have tried it, you have tested your ideas, you know what is gonna work, you know what's not gonna work, so you are growing, right? And depending what kind of experiment that is, you are either growing your technical skills or you are growing your soft skills. So that's another take on experimentation. Now, as I mentioned, experimentation might often end up into failures, but failures are good. Failures are mistakes are good, and there is no shame in failing or making mistakes. I failed in one of the subjects in my college, and it was the most easiest subject that no one actually fails in. But I did, right? And that failure taught me a lot. And the most crucial thing it taught me is that it's never to doubt yourself, and it's fine, to fail. The most important thing is how you get over that failure and how you keep on going. So that's a real experience that I had. If you don't trust me, I am happy to share my mark sheet with you, where you can see I have an FF for a subject that no one fails for. Uh, but again, failure also is around making mistakes, right? It's not about failing, but also about making mistakes. And I was recently talking to a friend who works at this huge company, and she was given access to the production database for some task. Now, for folks who are not familiar with what a production database is, let me try to help you understand it. Let's take an example of WhatsApp, right? So, all the messages that you send, all your information, all those WhatsApp statuses are stored in a database. And this database is live and it's called a production database. Now, let's say WhatsApp wants to add a new feature, and they want to, and it involves the database. So while WhatsApp is working on that feature and testing it out, they won't directly use the production database, because if something goes down, the WhatsApp service might stop working for a lot of people, and it's not good, right? So that is what a production database is. So it's basically a database that is actually being used live in the product. Now, coming back to the story, guess what might have happened with that task that my friend was given to? Well, okay. She didn't wipe out the whole database, but she made a mistake that created the issue on the production database, uh, which was which was scary, right? First of all, you are working for a huge corporation, and that's where you make a mistake, which is live on a product. So it's scary. That's a mistake that she made, and that's really crazy, right? But she's a smart person. She knows the right steps. So what she did, she went out and she communicated that to the team so that it got fixed. Right now, she made a mistake. She accepted that mistake, and then she took the charge of it. She communicated it to the team, and it got fixed. This was a learning opportunity for her that day, right? So again, failing and making mistakes is completely fine as far as you are learning from it, right? So there is a good saying, especially for startup. It says, fail often, fail fast. What this means is fail as many times as you want. It's completely fine. But if you're failing, make sure you come back up quickly and you recover uh, from that as quickly as you can. So fail often, fail fast, and learn and grow. Now, there are a lot of other skills that I want to talk about, but I see questions coming in the chat, so I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly address them. So, this question is from Sweta. She's asking, how can we work on our personality from now so that we can be ready for the professional world? How do we need to develop ourselves, as in, what are we required to do in our BTech years? Wow. That's a really good question. And somewhere in the slides, I had this point which I wanted to eventually talk about is uh, okay. I'm gonna take a bit of a different tangent for this question and try to explain you my point. So I am in Europe right now. I have a lot of friends who are studying in European universities, and for some reason, I love the education system that we have over here. Or maybe it's not the education system, or maybe it's, the culture that they have over here. Because if I ask this question to any of my friends right now, they are gonna be like, dude, chill. It's too early to think about all those things, right? So I'm not saying it's a bad thing to think about all those things, but uh, coming from I know where you're coming from, and I have been there. We take a lot of pressure, we put a lot of thought into stuff like this, which, trust me, is not so healthy, right? So the first thing I would say is, like, it's good that you are thinking it. It means that you are on a good path, you are taking your career seriously. But at the same time, I also want you to, take a step back and enjoy the time that you have right now. Okay. Still, I'm gonna try to answer you and help you and give you some a bit of an advice. So the question is, how can we work on our personality from now so that we can be ready for the professional world? So one thing that has really helped me is networking, right? So uh, the way I networked with people was, going to events, going to meetups, going to conferences, because that is where you would find professionals out there, and that is where you can talk to them. Now, again, the world is digital right now. Everything is online right now. It's still fine. Go on those online events, and the best part about this online or this digital events is you can go and take part without having to travel, without having to spend any kind of money. So it's really good. So go out there, take part in those events. Just try to listen to them. Just understand what they are talking about. Just see how they are talking about, how they are talking, how they are articulating their thoughts. What are their thoughts, where they are coming from, right? Just these kind of things will eventually help you to understand, okay, if I want to build this kind of personality, or if I like this thing or this personality trait from this particular person, how they are doing it. So observe, right? So observe it, and that's how you can, and then try to implement it, right? uh Try to implement it, but also, again, over here I would say, talk to them, right? Like, hey, I really love the way you're talking. I'm curious to know, like, how someone can articulate their thoughts just like the way you did, right? So oftentimes, like, they were a student as well. They got that personality, they developed that personality with time. So they would also have this experience, or they would have some good resources for you. So just talk to them, communicate with them, right? So stuff like that. I know this does not answer your question 100%, but I hope it gives you a bit of an idea. Okay, moving forward, what kind of problems we face in professional world when we start working initially? and how to tackle them? That's a good question. I'm gonna again talk about my journey, my experience. Uh, so there are a couple of things that I learned when I joined N10. And my manager at that point of time uh was amazing. Like the current manager is also really amazing. So I always used to get there's really good insights of what to do as a junior and what kind of things you can do to grow. And the first thing that I learned was to document, right? So as a student, we don't document what we are doing, or at least I didn't document what I was doing. And if you are moving to professional world, it's really important that you start documenting. Right now, I'm not talking about writing everything that you are doing, right? But just keeping a bullet points of the stuff you are doing really helps. So start documenting what you're doing. So maybe today I did something, right? So I gave a talk. So these are the talks that I cover. These are the topics that I cover. So maybe I'll document it so that maybe if someone asks me like, "Hey, what did you do? What was the talk about? What are the points that you covered?" So I can tell them like, "Hey, here is the documentation for this. You can take a look at it. Here is what I did." It also helps when you are having a call with your manager or with your team, and they want to know. What you have been working on and stuff like that. So I would say documentation is one of the things that I found a bit of difficulty because I didn't knew how important it can be. So always try to get into a practice of documenting what you are doing. Again, it's not going to be perfect. That's completely fine. We are all learning, right? The other thing or the other really good learning that I had was to ask feedback. And that's something that that was the best advice that I got, is to ask feedback. So don't be shy, like ask feedback if you are doing something and it involves a couple of people. After you are done with them, after you sorry done with that particular thing, go ahead, talk to people, ask them, "Hey, I did this. What did you think about this? Is there any way that I can improve it? What are your thoughts on this? What do you think can be improved? What do you think you would do differently?" And stuff like that. Because you would be surprised by the feedback that you get. Because uh, oftentimes people actually love the work that you are doing, but because like they have their own stuff, so people are not gonna come to you and they're gonna say like, "Hey, really love what you're doing," right? Even though they feel like it, because again, people are busy with their own stuff. So this is really a good way to get motivated, and a good way to learn how you can improve. So again, I didn't knew like how important feedback is, and this getting this feedback really helped me with that, right? So those are the two essential things that kind of helped me moving from a student to a professional in the industry. So I always focus on these two things. For someone it might be something else, but for me documentation and feedback were the two key things. And I see there's a question from Shashrika, is how can you be ready for your one-on-one with your manager as an ooh, that's a good question. Uh that's a good question. Now this somehow comes into place when I talked about documentation, because documentation is what keeps the manage keeps or lets your manager know what you're doing. So I can talk about what we do at our company. So we have a really good weekly one-on-one sync with our managers, and we have a documentation in place where we talked about what was the work that we did the last week, what were the difficulties that we ran into, and what we are planning to do for the following week. Now, these three things helps in a lot of way. The first thing, the manager knows what are the things you did, what are the things you didn't do, and what are the things that you can improve. So, again, I would say documentation and feedback are what were the things you were able to complete in this time period, and they can provide you feedback like, hey, really love this thing that you did. Maybe next time try a different approach, right? Again, your manager is someone who has a lot of experience, so this is the good place to l- maybe leverage that experience and learn from that. So what you did is always a good way to get the viewpoint of your manager. The next point is, what were your blockers? Now there are gonna be times when you're gonna be blocked by some external issues, or it can be anything, right? Maybe you didn't had enough time for a particular task that you were assigned to, and it's completely fine. Just communicate with your managers like, hey, I started this task. I thought it is gonna be completed in a few hours, but I realize it's a big, much bigger project than I thought, and I would need more time for that, right? So communicating like this, being transparent about the problems that you are facing, helps your manager know the problems that you are facing, and your manager is here to help you to succeed in your work. So if you tell them this is the problem that you are facing, they are gonna help you get probably more resources, or see how they can help you unblock on that particular task, so that you can succeed. And the next part is, I was talking about what you are gonna work next, because oftentimes you might not know what are the priorities. So talking of the stuff you are gonna work next helps you understand the priorities and prioritize your work. So if this is your first one-on-one with your manager, I would always ask you to do that, and don't treat your manager as a colleague. I would say treat him as as your mentor. And when I say mentor, also don't take it more professional. Still try to keep it more casual, right? Just talk about not just work, but try to build a relationship. Talk about how they are doing, how's their life going, something exciting that they're doing. Maybe talk about a particular hobby that you might have in common, right? So just try to break an ice. The managers always know how to break an ice, so they are gonna be the one to do that. But you can always be the first one to take that initiative and break that ice. So Shafik, I hope uh, that answers your question as well. And I see Arko is in the chat. Hey Arko, thank you for those kind words. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. I do we have any more questions? Okay. I don't think we have more questions. I'm gonna move forward. I know I promise you that I'm not gonna take a lot of your times, a lot of your time. So uh, there are a lot of other skills that are really important. I went ahead on Twitter and I asked for folks like, hey, I'm going this to this event, talking to uh, young folks who are just going to start their career. What things I should talk about? And the wonderful community shared a lot of really good things, which unfortunately I cannot cover because of the restriction of time. But I just wanted to highlight over here. The first one was, of course, feedback, and I talked about it. The second one is set boundaries. Now, oftentimes, uh, it it is really difficult to set a boundary between a professional relationship and a casual or a personal relationship. It's I honestly don't have a step by step guide for this, but just talk to people, tell them, be honest, like, hey, I am new, I haven't done this before, so if I am talking about something which is not professional, I apologize in advance, and please let me know if it is uncomfortable or anything. So those kind of being proactive and communicating is going to help you to understand how you can set boundaries. The next is to understand the corporate environment logic. Now this is really tough. This is really tough, and I can say this because a startup works in a different way, while a huge multinational established company while work in a different way. So try to, before just getting into the company, understand how things work. And I really love this about people, especially I have a couple of friends who do this, is when they are applying for a company, they also, talk to the people who are actually working in that company out of the whole interview process to understand how things work, how things does not work, and, just get an idea of the whole company culture. The next is project manage skills. Now, as someone who is just starting their journey, just get a bit of an idea. I wouldn't ask you to, dive deeper, read books around project management skill or attend lectures on that. I'm not asking you to do that, but, just get an idea of, what are the project management skills that would, that you would require, because these are not taught in the college or the university. Your textbooks are not going to teach you this. So just get an idea of what things work. Again, communicating to people who are already doing this can help you with that. And of course, I have been talking a lot about communication, right? So communication is a key important skill. So start talking to people. Uh, you won't believe it, but I am an introvert. But one of the skills that I made sure that I would improve was on my communication skills. So just, go out there, talk to people. It's gonna be fine if it's gonna be the first few conversations are gonna be completely awkward. Trust me, it's gonna be fine, but you are gonna learn from that. So start working on your communication skills and learn to say no. I have been in that phase where I took a lot of work, which led me to burnout. And that's where I learned, okay, it's high time that I learn to say no. So this is something that you again have to, understand. And this is gonna be you're gonna learn to say no when you actually understand what your priorities are. So you need to first understand what your priorities are, and only then will be able to say no to anything that you want, right? And again, saying no is in itself a skill, and there are a lot of good books on how you can say no without being too rude. So I would suggest you to go ahead and just read those books. Once again, keep calm. You got this. I know it can be a scary phase at this point of your career. I know I have been through that. So it can be scary, but trust me, you got this. Don't take it too seriously. I want you all to also enjoy the time that you have right now as a student. So trust me when I say you got this, you have got this. Enjoy your life a bit more and still, think about the things that you want to do next. With that, I want you all to clear your minds and ask any questions that you might have. I have my chat open and I don't see any questions coming in, but I'm going to take a quick 2-minute pause in here to see if people have any questions around this stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. While folks chime that in, I know that like a lot of folks have been asking questions. We did rotate a form out in the college just to get those anonymous questions in, and folks have been very gracious with those. So they've been putting those in. A couple of questions from those, which I have right here, is
Hmm.
so, first up, we were talking about being ready for the professional world, and a lot of folks are starting with their first jobs, and it's getting overwhelming. So, they have their questions about how. So during the first month, they fear that they won't be able to contribute as much, and they would be drinking out of
Hmm.
fire hose. So they want to know how quickly should they ramp up, how quickly should they learn, like do they learn skills and stuff regarding that. So there are multiple questions based on this, and we just wanted to know your opinion on those.
Guess what? Everyone knows it's your first month. They are not expecting anything from you. That's the wonderful part of starting a new job. So if you are starting a new job, every company has an onboarding period, and this is the time where you get to learn more about the company, learn about the processes, learn how stuff work inside the team, who is the person to reach out to for problem X, who is the person to reach out to problem Y, and stuff like that. So trust me, they are not expecting you to ship 10 new features probably in your first month. They know this is you are just starting out. So take your time, learn, and this is also the time to ask all those weird questions that you think are weird out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there is one other question about like your profile and your role. So like there's a question about how to get started in DevRel, because that is a path which is generally not followed. People like generally go for software engineering or other roles, and people would love to know how, we can get started with the DevRel community.
Wow, that's I think I've talked about this a couple of times, and um, like I have also talked to a lot of people who want to get into DevRel. The first question I always ask them is like, why do you want to get there? What is your motivation to get there? Because uh, what it looks like from the outside world is completely different from what it looks from the actual work that we do, right? uh, so I would always ask people to ask themselves, why do you want to do it? Once you have that answer, the next part is like, okay, maybe you want to do it for this reason, right? So are you actually doing it right now? Right? Maybe you want to help people by teaching them some skills, some technologies, right? Are you doing it right now? Are you teaching people? Are you helping them learn something new? How are you doing it? What is your process, right? So if you're not doing it, start doing it right now, because this will give you uh, an idea. This will give you an idea of what it might look like when you are into an actual devrel position. Now again, when I say this, it's gonna be totally different, but you will just get a taste of it, of how it's gonna look like, right? So start already doing that so that you know what you are getting into. The
Definitely.
next thing is, uh, for DevRel, it's really important to ask questions again, because uh, for developer advocates, you have to understand what the community needs, and the way to understand is to first listen to that, listen to what they are saying. And when I say listen to what they are saying, they are not always saying what you want to hear, right? So you need to be a really good listener. You need to understand what the problem is from just a bit of context that they give. Now that you have that context, build on top of it and then ask questions, right? So that's another thing. So being a good listener and talking to community members, and then start showcasing what you are doing out there, because you want to get into DevRel. It's a public facing role. So start talking about what you are doing, and start talking about what you're doing, how you are doing, and why you are doing. So I think that is what kind of helped me. I got into DevRel because I love educating people. I love teaching people, and I was already doing that. I was doing workshops uh, for different organizations. I was doing it at my college. I was writing blog posts and stuff like that. So I knew what I already was doing, and I already had kind of a good profile out there, which helped me get into DevRel.
Awesome. That is lovely. That actually covers a lot of bases under some of the other questions that we were being asked about getting
Wonderful.
started
That
with
was
DevRel.
that was my idea.
Love that. So yeah, I mean, I understand. Yes, of course, DevRel is a whole new domain, and it sounds exciting at first, but it's important to understand and again talk to folks who are already there in the industry who are doing the
Exactly.
job, so that you
Hmm.
learn what the role entails and if that is something that you are willing to, work on. So yes, the skills definitely as a student and even as an early in career professional, you can definitely develop those skills that are required for these roles. But to understand if you really want to be in that domain, you should definitely talk to a bunch of folks and like understand what exactly goes behind the scenes. Which brings me to a quick question. So what exactly does your day as a devrel looks like in the professional world? I mean, as a student, we understand that there were a lot of communities and events involved, but what exactly does it look like in the professional world?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing about this because recently someone tweeted about it because they were asked the same question, like, what does your role look like as a DevRel? And they had a really good response. It's like, there is no answer for that because every day we are doing something different. We don't have a typical day or a typical list of tasks that we have to do. Because if you're into DevRel, you are doing a lot of things at the same time, right?
Mhm.
So one day you might be building out a demo or a demo application or doing experimenting with some technologies and stuff like that. The next day you might be, creating an integration or something that the community wants. The other day you would be probably giving a talk at a conference, or you would be writing a proposal to give a talk at a conference, or you might be writing a blog post, right? So there is no fixed day-to-day task for a DevRel. uh, so yeah, that's how DevRel is. It's structured, but it's also unstructured at the same time.
Definitely. I think it's all about being empathetic because that's one key requirement of the role where you have to understand what the developer needs, what the community needs, and basically just align your tasks according to that. So, yes, that
Mhm.
definitely answers the questions. We also tracked down the Twitter thread that you mentioned in the conversation about what other things we can keep in mind. We understand that we are on a time crunch, but I'm just going to post that Twitter thread in our chat, in our comment section, so that if anyone wants to know more and get some thoughts about what the industry thinks you should know as a girl in career, you can definitely check this post out. Awesome. I think that would be all. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with us, Harshil. It's been great. As Harshil's also put his links, his Harshil's profile links are there in the description as well. It's also up on the screen, so feel free to connect with him. I am sure he would love to chat with you offline as well. So yeah, Harshil has shared his Twitter link. There's also his LinkedIn description in the bio. Feel free to connect and follow Skysil as well. There are links in the description below. Harshil, any last words or piece of wisdom, words of wisdom or advice, anything they want to give?
I just one thing that I have learned is, just to take things slow. It's okay to take things slow. Take time for yourself and not worry too much. Because as students, we we worry a lot, and we often it affects our mental health. So just take things slow. You trust me, you have got this. I didn't knew that I was gonna, be working as a DevRel in Berlin. So if I can figure it out, you can figure it out too. So take things slow, enjoy your life, and just have some fun.
Yes, again, it's all about experiences, right? It's going to be a long tech career journey for you all if you are here to stay in this field. So just take it slow, take it one at a time. And as Harshil mentioned, just enjoy the whole process and you will in no time be a good career professional and be ready for the professional world. Awesome. Thank you so much, Harshil. And yeah, this would
Thank
be
you.
all for today's live stream. Thank you so much, IGDTUW, for joining us today. We know you are having classes and everything, but it's so great to see all those lovely faces here. We will see you around for other sessions of Skyset as well. Stay tuned, and if you really like some of those sessions, sure tune into those. Awesome. Thank you so much, Harshil.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a nice day, everyone.
Have a nice day. Bye bye.